Fosi has done it again. This is Fosi's first foray into magnetic planar headphones. These are the i5 magnetic planar headphones, and you can't get your hands on these yet. These are only available via Kickstarter. I spent a lot of time with these, and I want to tell you what my personal thoughts are on these so that you can decide if you want to pick up a pair of these while they're on a really good deal at Kickstarter. Don't worry about looking for a link. I did put a link down in the description of the video so that you can easily find these. These are Fosi Audio's i5 magnetic planar headphones, and they look big as far as the ear pads are. If you take a look at them, ear pads are gigantic, really. In fact, if you look at the diaphragm in here is 97 millimeters. That's almost 4 inches, about 3.8 inches. And you would think that these would be really, really heavy on your ear because they're so big. They're not. In fact, they were designed really well. This is all aluminum on the outside. Very nice, very lightweight. They do have real walnut wood right here. And this is real leather. It's suede leather. And I like the holes that they put in here. That just helps allow for cooling. And the fact that these are open back also helps with the cooling of your head. Even the cables, they're extremely well made. Like, these are not cheaply made cables. I'm very impressed with the cable quality on it. I do love this too. Like, they can actually rotate both directions, which allows you to help them fit your head better. But when you put them on, a couple things you're gonna notice. One, very squishy ear pads. Look at that. That is definitely not firm. I really like these ear pads. And it does have these silicone adjusters, and they allow you to really fit and mold these to just about anyone's head, making them very comfortable. Even though they look heavy, the ergonomics of what they designed make them lightweight, but that's not the only thing. They also use some really smart engineering to make these lightweight. Now, these are magnetic, obviously. They're magnetic planar headphones. And since there's magnets in here, they used neodymium magnets. Now, those neodymium magnets are much more powerful, but also a lot more lightweight. These I've been able to wear for hours, and I have never felt them heavy on my head at all yet. I gotta say, you don't see me review a lot of headphones because I haven't found very many that are worth reviewing. I'm really glad I did because I love the sound quality of these. Now, they are magnetic planar. Now, magnetic planar allows them to be very fast, allows for a better dynamic range typically than a standard headphone. And it does allow them to get a better accuracy. And the reason why that's the case is because they're a lot lower distortion. So the clarity on magnetic planars is typically pretty good. But on top of that, they paired the magnetic planar with another technology that a lot of people like, which is open back, meaning that if you were to hold this up to light, you can actually see right through the back here. So the sound travels up both in the front and also in the rear. Now, the reason why some people like open back headphones is because it allows them to get a much wider soundstage. It makes you feel as if, well, you're there at the performance, like the singer is singing to you. And I was listening to songs like I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston, and I gotta say, it made me feel like I was right there and Whitney Houston was singing right to me. I mean, I felt like I was always going to be loved. It was a really cool experience, and it did offer a very wide soundstage. There are things that I've heard in really good speakers that most headphones I don't hear, and that's Whitney Houston breathing in. When she's getting ready to belt out some of her lyrics, you hear her suck in air, like, I was actually able to hear that on these, and that's the first pair of headphones that I can remember actually hearing that. And so I was very, very impressed with this. Now, because they're open back, no sound isolation. You're gonna hear things around you, and not only that, because the sound goes both in your ear and outside, the other people are gonna hear it as well. Meaning that if you're listening to something that you really don't want other people to hear, you're probably not gonna wanna use these, at least in that situation. And that makes sense. These are not Bluetooth. These are just going to be plugged in. Look at that. I mean, it's just such quality that they built in these. I mean, even the cables are really well made, and you're going to see that there are 2 plugs that plug into either side of your headphones. I don't like looking necessarily at the side to figure out which one's left or right. I like that they added this little red rubber here. It just lets you know, hey, this is your right. I would have liked that one to be a white too, but at least it's black, but if I'm have these down on the ground, I can just pick these up and know, just looking at the cord, this is my right ear. And with the Kickstarter basic package, it's going to come with two of these cables. One is this. This is a 4.4 millimeter cable right here. This is going to be your balanced cable. And then it also comes with your unbalanced cable. Now, I did listen to it with both cables. The one that I preferred was, of course, the balanced cable. And I used that with this Fosi Audio K7, which I reviewed a while ago. This is great. It is a headphone amplifier, so you can Bluetooth to this if you want to, although I used mainly the DAC built in on the computer, and I really enjoyed listening to the music with this. And there's a reason why. Even though this sounded really good, there were a couple things that I appreciate about these. There were no real heavy peaks or dips that I noticed, and nothing that I listened to sounded out of place. A lot of times when I listen to headphones for a while, there's a couple songs that start to bother me. I can tell that there's some frequency response peaks and dips that I don't enjoy. And so I was looking at a little bit more of the technology of these, and I noticed this back, which looks like a really nice design, but it is actually engineered as well. If you take a look at this, this is a high transparency rigid rear mesh, and the structure provides stable air pressure, which dampens the sound waves, and it's gonna smooth out some of those frequency response. And so I did get some measurements of these, and you'll notice that the measurement follows the Harman OE curve of 2018. This was a study done by Harman that said this is what people prefer in over-ear headphones, and this is almost perfectly lined up with that. But the one thing I noticed is that after 60 hertz, I wasn't getting much bass. And if we take a look at this curve, once again, the blue curve is the original, and that's what these are. I wasn't getting much bass past 60 hertz. And so I preferred using the Fosi Audio K7 because this has tone controls on it, and it allows me to turn up the bass. For me, about plus 3 decibels, turning up the bass was perfect. It's exactly where I expected my bass to be. I love just hearing it in that type of capacity. And if I really wanted to listen to it, I could turn it up to plus 6. Now, at plus 6, all of a sudden the bass was starting to really hit. It's more like of a party headphones at that point in time. However, most of the time when you listen to party headphones, the problem is the bass becomes, well, depleted. It becomes flabby. It sounds not very tight at all. That wasn't the case with these. I was really surprised that even turning these up to plus 6 on the K7 with, of course, the 4.4 millimeter plug, I was getting really nice tight bass. I was very impressed with the sound that I was getting out of this. Now, I did hear back from Fosi Audio about the sub bass issue, and they realized that there was an issue with the sealing of it. So anyone that is going to get the new headphones or the ones from Kickstarter, they do have a seal on there which restores the sub bass. And if you take a look at this orange line on this graph, that's the new bass response that you should expect out of these Fosi Audio i5 headphones. Unfortunately, I didn't get to test these in that capacity, but what I will say is that these have been very impressive to me to listen to. And these are the first pair of headphones that I can say that I've spent time listening to all genres of music and have been very, very happy with them. These are my go-to headphones from here on out. Don't worry about looking for a link. I did put a link down in the description of the video so that you can easily find these.